So, hi, this is Rosie, and I thought I would address a relatively controversial topic in the human design world and perhaps in the world altogether, which is sleep. Sleep, yeah. So, okay, I don't know how much about human design you know, but in very pure human design circles, it is often recommended, if not required, for people to sleep by themselves. It is said that wherever we are, there's kind of like this 12-foot orbit around our body, which kind of makes up our auric field. And anytime anyone is within 12 feet of us, even if we're sleeping in an apartment and there's someone on the other side, like in a whole other apartment, but their bed is up against the wall where our bed is, we're going to be taking in the influence of that person while we're sleeping. And that during sleep time is a good time to totally kind of release ourselves from all of the conditioning pressures or conditioning influences that we take in throughout the day so that we wake up restored and close to ourselves and starting fresh. Okay, and then there are certain types that are particularly encouraged to sleep by themselves. People with open sacral centers, like projectors, for example, who are very sensitive, people with a lot of openness. They can really kind of take in the energy that other people are transmitting and in some ways kind of go to sleep and lose themselves and wake up off kilter. Okay, and so in the very pure sense of the word, there's a lot of strictness around that. Sort of like to sleep with someone else is kind of like to say yes to the not self and not to be true to yourself. And so I guess I just wanted to talk about this. And again, when I do talk about this, I want to interject that very important concept, which I said from the very beginning, which is that this is an experiment. This is a very important experiment to do. So I would prefer to say, screw the rules, screw all the rules, right? Because we live in a society, for example, that has extremely rigid expectations about who is supposed to sleep with who. And for example, if you're in a relationship, if you're living together with someone, if you're married, you're supposed to sleep with your partner no matter what. And there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of worry that happens within relationships if one partner is not sleeping so well together with the other one and so sleeps on the couch. It's often like, being in the doghouse and a sign that something's wrong in the relationship. And so there's a lot of kind of mainstream cultural pressure for the couple to sleep together. Then, of course, we always have all these little subgroups of conditioning. Then you have like the attachment parenting kind of world where it's all about the family bed. And so, God forbid, anybody should not be sleeping with their kids or whatever. I'm one of those people, so I know that one. And then you get the human design pressure, which is, nobody should sleep with anybody. God forbid you do that, because then you're just going to be not self. You're not going to be who you are. You're not going to be, everything you do is going to kind of not really be your life, right? So I kind of want to throw all of that out. I just want to give you permission to throw all of it out and just say, you get to experiment with sleep. You get to do what you want. And I don't want you to feel pressured to sleep with somebody if you're not sleeping well. And I don't want you to feel pressured not to sleep with somebody if it feels good. That's my little 2 cents right there. And I remember once I was talking to Werner. He was giving me my first kind of introduction to integral human design through an activation session. And I told him about that I was, or maybe it was an email exchange, I don't remember, but I was sharing with him some of my struggles with the more kind of pure doctrine and how it was kind of causing me to doubt some of the choices that I had made as a parent. For me, it was all about, giving birth at home. And my daughter Maya was basically on my body for the first 2 years of her life. We have a family bed. It is a huge, important thing that I didn't take lightly. It was a decision that felt really important, and also one that I felt like if I really checked in with my sacral center as the generator that I am, it felt right. My body was responding to that. And I remember having talked about it in more kind of purist human design systems and was being kind of told, well, it's probably your open solar plexus that is afraid of her being sad and being separated from you, that's keeping you from like having the confrontation of teaching her how to sleep by herself and sleeping by yourself too, right? So it was almost kind of like being presented to me as maybe a choice that wasn't necessarily like the best mothering choice either, right? And so here I'm doing all this because I love my daughter and I'd do anything for that kid, right? And then I'm kind of like presented with this thing like, oh, well, maybe this means that I'm actually conditioning her to be dependent on my defined spleen, and I'm doing it because of my open solar plexus, and I'm afraid of the confrontation, and I can't handle her disappointment or her fear of being separate, but it would be good for her because it would train her open spleen, blah, 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 right? So I told this to Werner, and he said something that I wanted to share with you, which just really struck me. He said, why are we more afraid since how did he say this? Okay, because wherever you're open, you're not just going to be open to the influences of people around you. You're also open to the influences of the stars, the transits of what's going on in the larger cosmic field. And so he said, why are we more afraid of being under the influence of the people that we love than we are the transits in the sky? Why should it be so scary, so horrible to be sleeping next to your husband who you love so dearly, or your child who you're so clearly responding to nurturing? I even had the channel of nurturing. So I don't know, there was just something about when he said that it just kind of clicked into place for me. And that doesn't mean that my family doesn't do a whole lot of experimenting when it comes to sleep. We're like little like Mexican jumping beans. We're like, one night we're all together in a big huddle. The next night, she's in our big bed and my husband is on the couch and I'm in her bed, and we have completely let go of all societal constraints and judgments about how sleep should look. And we've also let go of the kind of the opposite conditioning that I received from human design, which also was telling me how sleep should look. And so I guess I just want to really transmit or impart that permission to you, that you get to just do sleep how it works for you, and sometimes you might sleep really well next to somebody all cuddled up, and sometimes you might need your own space. And I just encourage you to try it out and see what works, and to the extent that you can, try not to take it personally. Don't let the other person take it personally. It's not about whether we love each other or not. It's just about we need to get some good sleep. And we want to wake up feeling good. Okay, so there you go. A little controversy for you. Have a great day or evening.